Plus,
like what the exact policy was with the transfers, if you had to tap it or not.
transit confusion among some riders as the TTC replaces the Metro Pass with Presto cards. And eggs in the city. A year on, we check in with the city's backyard chicken project. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. A 16-year-old boy has died after a single vehicle crash in Vaughan last night. 4 other teens were injured. One of them, a 15-year-old boy, remains in critical condition. Now, this happened just before midnight off of King Vaughan Road near Kipling. Now, this is at a stretch of road that has a sharp curve to it. And police say for some unknown reason, their blue Kia Sportage veered off that road and hit some trees.
This investigation is in its early stages, as you can understand and appreciate. It takes a lot of work to figure out exactly what went on. But we did have our major collision investigation unit out at the scene for several hours today. Looking at that roadway itself, it is quite a bend in the road there, and it looked like the vehicle just wasn't able to negotiate that bend in the road. So as to why that is, that's part of the ongoing investigation.
Now, York police say the 17-year-old female driver did have her G2 license. They say impaired driving does not look to be a factor and say no charges have been laid. Any witnesses are being urged to come forward. And as we mentioned, police don't think that crash was caused by impaired driving, but we are getting an idea of just how many drivers are choosing to drive drunk or high this holiday season and get caught doing so. Durham Region Police releasing their festive ride numbers today. Now, over 7 weeks, 117 drivers were arrested for drinking and driving offenses. Another 111 were registered as a warn on roadside testing devices. They had their licenses suspended for 3 days. As we check in with York Regional Police, they say they charged 22 people with impaired driving offenses in just 1 week between Christmas and New Year's Day. For all of 2018, the number of charges jumps to more than 1,600. They're also highlighting another number as well, 7. That's how many people were killed there last year in impaired-related charges or crashes. And here in Toronto, police say they arrested over 1,100 people last year for impaired driving offenses. And the OPP reminding drivers tonight to be aware of changing road conditions. Sergeant Kerry Schmidt tweeting that his officers have responded to over 50 crashes this evening across the GTA. The wintry weather out there leading to slippery road conditions. As Schmidt says online, when you see snow, go slow. And take a look at these images. 2 people are lucky to be alive tonight after a piece of plywood smashed through a Volkswagen's windshield, narrowly missing the driver and the passenger. This happened on the southbound 410 near Queen Street around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Police say a loose piece of wood flew off a truck and smashed through the car's windshield. Paramedics took a man and a woman to hospital. Fortunately, they just had minor injuries. Police are asking drivers to ensure any loads they are carrying are strapped and properly secured. I'll get ready to fork out more for your next hydro bill. As of yesterday, electricity prices in Toronto are up over 5%.
We recognize that this is a slightly bigger increase, but we do want our customers to know that we're using that money for certain investments in the grid to make sure that we're improving our service to our customers.
Your average Toronto hydro bill will see an increase of around $6.33 a month. The utility says the increase is the result of higher costs for the generation and transmission of power, as well as planned upgrades to the electrical grid. And the new year means some big changes for TTC riders. Metro Pass users are being forced to make the switch from a monthly pass to a Presto card. Extra staff are at subway stations to help answer questions, and as Hawaii Fidel found out, some customers are finding the process confusing.
It's goodbye Metro Pass, hello Presto. For the first time since 1981, there's no January Metro Pass, and some riders are having trouble getting used to the change.
What do you think about the overall process?
That was slightly confusing. Strange. It's strange.
Presto replaces the need for customers to carry tickets, tokens, cash, and monthly passes.
While tokens and tickets are still accepted for now, the TTC hopes the phase-out of Metro Passes will move more customers to the Presto card. It can be set up for riders who pay reduced fares like senior or student rates at the TTC Customer Service Center at Davisville Station, or at any Shoppers Drug Mart that sells them.
There are a number of things that you need to bring with you. You need to bring, if you're a senior student, you need to bring valid government ID. If you're a post-secondary student, you have to show your TTC post-secondary student photo ID.
While a handful of commuters vented frustrations on social media this morning, this commuter who's used the Presto card says the system is improving.
And it's running pretty smoothly now, though when I first started about maybe 8 months ago, it was a little choppy.
The TTC plans to have extra staff at stations to help answer questions from commuters. They'll go through this again next year when tickets and tokens are phased out. Hoea Fidel, CBC News, Toronto.
Meteorologist Nick Cernkovich joins us with his first look at the forecast. Let's talk about the snow we saw this evening.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a big snow event, Mike, but at least it feels a little bit more like winter. We rung in New Year's with rainfall. Now we're looking at about 2 to 4 centimeters of snow across the GTA. So not a big snowfall event, but definitely enough to slick up the roads. Part of a weak system that's tracking across the region. By the time we hit tomorrow morning, though, really you'll just be dusting off the car. There's no more to add to it. And then by the evening hours, we're looking at generally clear skies. For the most part, about 2 to 4 centimeters in the forecast with this system. And that's really all we're speaking of here. -3 tonight, winds about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. By tomorrow, those 0 degrees, so a lot of this stuff is going to melt. And an even bigger warm-up on the way in just a bit, Mike.
All right, thanks, Nick.
You bet.
Just a few months after it was said to be near completion, Metrolinx says Bombardier has not yet shipped the first vehicle for the Eglinton Crosstown LRT. The company was supposed to have it delivered to Toronto before the end of 2018. Farah Morali looks back at how this is just the latest time a deal with Bombardier has gone off the rails.
It was in late October when Bombardier invited reporters to Kingston to show off an early model of its LRT vehicle for the Eglinton Crosstown project.
It's the comforts, the accessibility that is really the major selling feature.
Back then, the company said the first vehicle was almost done and will be delivered to Toronto in November. Today, Metrolinx confirmed that never happened, and it's still waiting for that vehicle. No one from Metrolinx would speak to us for an interview today, saying this is a legal situation, but in an email to CBC News, it confirmed that first vehicle was supposed to arrive before the end of 2018, but didn't. It said last month it had a chance to review it, but found it needed some corrections. Just what those adjustments are, it wouldn't say. It's not the first tense situation between Bombardier and Metrolinx. In 2016, Metrolinx tried to terminate its $700 million deal with the company because of delivery delays. Bombardier has also missed streetcar delivery deadlines with the TTC, blaming others in the supply chain. All 204 streetcars are supposed to be delivered by the end of this year. Some now question Bombardier's ability to fulfill contracts.
So the idea that they're not perfect first time the buyer looks is not unusual. The issue, of course, is that there are so many cars that this has happened to on multiple car orders. Bombardier's credibility as a vendor really is threatened.
We care about contractual relationships, we care about whether Bombardier is meeting its obligations, and we care about accountability in this regard.
In a statement to CBC News, Bombardier maintains it will make its deadline, saying in part, the first vehicle was ready to ship in December 2018, but due to transportation restrictions for wide loads, the shipment was rescheduled to January 7th. It went on to say, there has been no impact on our delivery schedule and in our ability to meet our deadline. In the meantime, Metrolinx says it has a backup deal with French manufacturer Alstom if Bombardier fails to meet its deadline. It says Bombardier would be slapped with penalties if 6 vehicles aren't delivered by February. But it wouldn't say what those penalties are. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
If I pay minimum, then why would they want to stay? They could just flip to another job.
A group of businesses in Ontario have decided to raise the minimum wage they pay to $15, even though they're no longer required by law to do so. We'll tell you why next. Welcome back. If you thought how much you may have earned by lunch today, well, here's a sobering fact for you. A new report says that by lunchtime today, the average CEO in Canada had already made as much money as most of us make in a whole year. Imagine some of those CEOs ring in the new year in grand style, but alluding to that kind of lavish lifestyle has landed one prominent Torontonian in some hot water, and now he is apologizing. This is a tweet we captured from the president of Ontario's Chamber of Commerce, Rocco Rossi. He tweeted this on New Year's Eve, boasting about celebrating the holidays the 1%er way, attaching pictures of caviar and champagne and adding, "Let them eat cake." Well, fine, but people feasted on that tweet online, giving both Rossi's position and the fact that the one-time Toronto mayoral hopeful pushed hard for the repeal of Bill 148. That was the bill that would have raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour yesterday. Ultimately, Rossi deleted the tweet, sending out this one instead, saying his original message was meant to be satirical, but that, quote, in retrospect, it was insensitive and caused offense. That got mixed reaction as well. Some panned it, like this man who fired back saying it's not satire, it's cruel. Others were supportive, urging people to give Rossi the benefit of the doubt. Well, people less likely to give him the benefit of doubt, those who actually earn minimum wage. Some of those earners did see an increase in their hourly rate yesterday. Lorenda Redekop has more on why a handful of businesses are opting to pay their staff some more, even though they're no longer required to do so.
Here at this downtown cafe, all the staff just got a raise. That's even though minimum wage didn't go up.
If I pay minimum, then why would they want to stay? They could just flip to another job. My experience is that if we pay minimum wage, it churns. And it churns at the lower level.
It works for this barista who's been here since the cafe opened 2.5 years ago and was looking forward to the raise announced by the previous Liberal government.
I think it's a great idea, especially last year when they made the announcement in terms of the pay increase. A lot of people plan ahead in terms of their lives.
The company Walk My Dog Toronto follows the same philosophy. It's one of 50 Ontario small businesses that's part of the Better Way Alliance. And it's about more than just minimum wage.
We very much support paid sick days and other measures that really improve the lives of employees because they make our businesses work, they make our businesses profitable.
The ayes being 69 and the nays being 45, I declare the motion carried.
The PC government officially slashed paid sick days in November, along with cancelling plans for a $15 an hour minimum wage, arguing they were bad for business. Some companies agree.
The biggest impact, first of all, was minimum wage. For us, overall as a business, there was a $500,000 impact on us this year.
But unions and labor activists fought against that. Back at the coffee shop, the owner's thoughts about a government-imposed minimum wage hike might surprise you.
Imposing a minimum wage is not necessarily my philosophy, but my business philosophy is that it's better for me to pay more.
That means even his staff, who were already making above minimum wage, got a $1 wage increase. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, a snowy evening after a chilly day in Toronto. I can barely see the CN Tower there. Will it warm up, or is this just the beginning? Nick Cernkovich has your full weather forecast after the break.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Nick is back with his extended forecast, so you have to brush the snow off the car in the morning, or if you can wait a couple of hours, just let it melt.
Yeah, pretty much that's the story. It seems to be the story for this winter, really. We've got these up and down temperature trends, and this week is no different. Temperatures are rising as we move into the weekend. But let's start with tonight. So we're looking at a little bit of snowfall across the GTA. About 2 to 4 centimeters, but all of this is sweeping across. By the time we hit tomorrow morning, there's no snow to speak of. Whatever is left over, you're going to have to dust off the car. Again, about 2 to 4 centimeters of snow. Then through the day, mostly cloudy conditions, and by the evening hours, we're starting to see things clear out, and that clear skies or sunshine will last all the way into the weekend. A general 2 to 4 centimeters across the Golden Horseshoe, but it's falling over about a 6 to 8 hour period. So a lot of the streets probably won't be an issue, but you will see some snow on your car tomorrow morning. Other than that, though, winds generally pretty calm tonight. However, by tomorrow, they're starting to pick up about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And then as we move through the afternoon, again, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And by tomorrow night, when I see you tomorrow at this time, winds are going to be picking up once again. And this seems to be a recurring story. And it does happen in the wintertime where we tend to get some more gusty wind conditions. Southwestern Ontario tonight down to -4 degrees. A few flurries in the forecast, but most of this stuff, most of the snowfall missing southwestern Ontario. It's really more out toward the Golden Horseshoe that we're seeing it. Tomorrow just above the 0 mark down around the Windsor area and all the way out to London, +1s. For you. As we move across the Golden Horseshoe tonight, temperature sitting about -3 degrees, again with a few light snow flurries across the region. General 2 to 4 centimeters of snow in the forecast. By tomorrow, just hovering around that 0 mark. Generally cloudy skies in the morning, but we'll start to see some clearing by the time we hit the evening hours tomorrow. And then the warm-up once again. Here's how it goes for the next few days. 3 degrees on Friday, mostly sunny skies. Saturday, 5 degrees, which, by the way, is how we rung in New Year's at midnight. It was 5 degrees. Sunday, 2 degrees, and we're not back down below 0 until Monday.
Just in time to go back to school. Thanks a lot, Nick.
Exactly. You bet.
Heartbreak for Team Canada tonight at the World Juniors as they take on Finland. Second period, Barrett Hayton puts Canada on the board with an incredible wrist shot. Mike DiPietro with some incredible saves to keep Finland scoreless. That is until 46 seconds left in the third. Here's the replay. Finland scoring on one of the strangest goals you'll ever see. A rebound that bounces off a stick and off DiPietro and into the net. Then in overtime, under 5 to play, Finns on a 2-on-1. Arni Talvitie drops it to Toni Utunen. His shot deflects off the stick, beats DiPietro. It's the end of the tournament for our juniors. Canada will finish without a medal for the first time as host nation.
One out. Crack to left field. Carrying well. Grand slam.
And former Blue Jay Troy Tulowitzki could be back in action next season. Tulowitzki has reportedly signed with the dreaded New York Yankees. The 5-time All-Star was out of the Jays lineup for the past season and a half after suffering an ankle injury. He was released by the team last month with 2 years remaining on his contract. His deal with the Yankees is said to be worth $500,000, but the Jays, however, still have to pay him more than $30 million. After putting up a career high in points last night, the Raptors' Kawhi Leonard is prepping for another career first tomorrow night. He will play against the San Antonio Spurs for the first time as a member of the visiting team. Leonard helped the Spurs win an NBA championship back in 2014, but safe to say that since then, the relationship between the two sides has soured. Greg Ross gives us a preview.
I guess it'll be a pretty rough environment on Kawhi, I imagine.
It's a call high 30. Wow. Oh, what a shot! Raptors coach Nick Nurse is expecting an icy reception from Spurs fans towards his star Kawhi Leonard.
I think it'll be a electric atmosphere. I think it'll be a volatile atmosphere.
Leonard left the Spurs in a cloud of controversy this past offseason. He sat out most of his final year in San Antonio because of injury, but many question the severity of his injury, some even suggesting he quit on his team. Danny Green was traded to Toronto with Leonard. he thinks it was all blown out of proportion.
The controversy, I think, was more so within the media than really as much as people think. It wasn't that much controversy behind closed doors.
But Green admits there is a little extra motivation for both players in tomorrow night's game.
Obviously, it's a team we both used to play for, so I'm sure he's going to want to, do well, especially there.
But Nurse doesn't expect it to be a distraction for Leonard.
He's not very emotional in general, right? He doesn't say much on the floor. He doesn't complain to referees. He doesn't do anything except for just play basketball. So I would imagine that he'll have a really good chance of handling it.
As for Green, who played 8 seasons in San Antonio, he's hoping for the best.
I hope they welcome us both back with open arms, man. I mean, I can't predict, so just hope.
Green says he still has a home there, and he plans to jump right back into his regular routine when he returns, starting tonight.
I'll get a haircut, man, get some food. Might see some friends and family.
Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
They were laying for us pretty
I think
right
the next
away.
Day, yeah.
The
day
next
we
day,
got
which
them,
was
we
like,
had eggs.
we were so excited.
Well, it was a pilot project that took flight last year, but was the program hatched according to the city's plan? The Chicken Pilot Project coming up. It is nearing 1 year since 4 Toronto wards allowed residents to keep backyard chickens. Time for our City Hall reporter Lauren Pelly to examine how the pilot project is working out.
This isn't a farm. It's an East End Toronto backyard where Ken and Lisa Yu keep a trio of hens, Wilma, Pebbles, and the ruler of the roost.
This is Betty. You can tell because she has this little crooked crown.
The couple bought their chickens last summer after the city launched its pilot project.
It's less work than I would say a dog or a cat.
And not much noisier until they start cheering on whoever's in the nest box.
So Pebbles is back there
laying an egg right now, and this is Betty. She's here to say hi to me and also to, well, that's my ring. They love shiny objects, and they also support each other when they're laying. And each of these girls lays one egg every single day.
They were laying for us pretty
I think
right
the next
away.
day, yeah, the day we got there, we had eggs.
We were so excited.
So far, more than 50 households have signed on for the 3-year pilot program. With an average of 3 birds registered for each house, that's roughly 160 hens across Toronto. City staff say the project isn't ruffling any feathers, and they haven't seen a spike in homeless hens like this.
We're sort of seeing the same number of stray chickens that we saw before.
But the councillors who hatched the plan all flew the coop, either leaving council or not winning another term. This re-elected councillor still believes it's a bird-brained idea.
And this is just another reason for two people to fight over something like chickens in a backyard.
Not so, say the U's.
And we found that some of our neighbors were, they would hear it and they'd stop and look. And once we started talking to them and we let people know, they were excited.
They're hoping this new council votes to make the project permanent. Otherwise,
we'd have to find a home for them, and so that would be putting a stress on us and on whoever else we would be sending these birds to. So.
and these don't just seem like farm animals to you guys now. You said they're your pets.
They're definitely our pets.
They're definitely our pets, yeah.
The pilot runs until March 2021. Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, before we go, if your commute takes you anywhere near Union Station tomorrow afternoon, you want to take note. The Leafs are playing a rare afternoon game that should end right at the start of rush hour. So as a result, parts of Bay Street will be closed as the game ends. That's to accommodate the fans as they leave the arena. See you again tomorrow night at 11. Take care. Good night.